if you don't have innovation, and the economy growth could not be sustainable.
Olá, eu estou aqui com Ying Lowrey, professora da Universidade Tsinghua. Claro, você também pode acompanhar o UM Brasil nas redes sociais, @canal UM Brasil, no Facebook ou no Instagram. Ms. Lowrey, thank you very much for being here with us. As you teach so many of us, startups are an important drive to economic growth. In emerging countries like China and Brazil, this is even more important.
Yes, I think this entrepreneurship is extremely important for all of the place, but especially good for or important for China and Brazil. Basic reason is the country the entrepreneurship need to be unleashed, and without those kind of pervasive business ownership, which is basically entrepreneurship, and you could not have innovations. And if you don't have innovation, and the economy growth could not be sustainable.
In Brazil, most startups, they don't grow. There's several problems in Brazil, lack of credit, the tax burden, bureaucracy. How can governments in all levels boost growth and entrepreneurship in startups?
I think the basic principle is to let people do whatever they feel comfortable to do in the market. And that is called free enterprise, free competition. It is very, very important to allow that to happen. And places like China, for a long, long time, since 1949, and people were not allowed to do business. That was why China's economy got into the edge of crash. And it's terrible. I have been through that. And however, right now, the economy seems to be growing much better. And basic reason is that people are allowed to do business. And a lot of young people are so excited about this opportunity. And especially, you would not believe in that in my university in the past, they produce elite people. In other words, you just do some research and stay in a university or think tanks. But nowadays, they come to my class. They say, Professor Lowrey, I come to your class because I want to be an entrepreneur. So that kind of excitement, that kind of dynamism, it is very important to the country like Brazil and China.
Yeah, and the point is very important for my next question is, we like to think of us Brazilians as entrepreneurial people, but most of entrepreneurs in Brazil, they are not entrepreneurs by choice, but by need. They can't find a job anywhere else. How can innovation growth in a culture of entrepreneurs not by choice but by need?
That is true. I feel proud of that piece of research, which divide up everybody's work time into two parts. One part is to do necessity, to meet necessity needs. For instance, to make money for paying your mortgage and buy your clothes, buy your food, and to raise family. And the other part is to do something more passionate about, or more innovative and more enjoyable. So this is in general the case. When this country in general, or person in particular, in a kind of better economic situation, they would put more time into the thing they want to do more interesting. And otherwise, vice versa, when like many developing countries or any developed country, they have to put a lot of time into necessity production. So basically, I felt it's a kind of the case. You will, when the economy grow better, and then more and more people want to do things that they love to do. So at that time, those people, that's the only thing they want to do. So I think at that time, you don't have to worry too much about whether that's hard to do or something, because by that time, that's enjoyment. It's a sort of, I do this because I want to do, because I can achieve my goal, or I can have a self-realization. So for that part, it should be much better time.
So there's a relation between this enjoyment
That's right.
and innovation.
That's right, that's right. So that is actually, when think about yourself or myself, and when you do not have to go to work for the payment, right? And then you just, maybe you like to write, or maybe you like to make some woodwork, or maybe you want to write a poem, or you want to travel. So anything at that time, your working time, it is not unbearable or something. It's no matter how hard, you're going to do that anyway.
Yeah. In Brazil, there's more and more co-working spaces to startups there. Do you think that sharing spaces can boost innovation too?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. That can, because think about when you do something, you feel, for instance, like myself, I'm an economist. I could just keep thinking how to make people more productive, and why people, start businesses. This is a very interesting question, and why people innovate, and is that anything better to do? And my answer is no. When you put so much time to do it because you really enjoyed it. So at that time, you could just really fully enjoy it. So like myself, I could, stay very, very late, and then I got the answer, or I got a result. I'm a mathematician, so I made these mathematical models and got the result exactly. That's the result I wanted, and I just totally forgot, how tired I was. So that's the situation. And then once you, in other words, that's what the government should do. It should allow people to find their own passion. And when they do those things, they'll put a lot of time in, and a lot of thoughts, and then a lot of innovations.
So people have to know several different things to choose the ones that it relates to.
That's right.
So it needs education for everyone.
That's right. You got to have education. Education is not, the only thing you sit in a classroom. Once, if you have a passion, you may be just study by yourself. You will find a Coursera class or MOOC class, and or ask around, or find a book. So in other words, once if you find a passion, if you want to reach your goal, you will do everything you can. Maybe start a business to do it, or maybe you will just stay at home to do it, or you will just go to work on the way back and forth, you will think about it. So in other words, the basic reason is you have to have that. That's one professor is a Nobel Prize winner, Edmund Phelps. So he mentioned about it is very important to have dynamism in a society. Without those kind of dynamism, what it means to dynamism. The dynamism is people's willingness and capability to innovate. So that is the important part of a society. Once you have this dynamism, I believe people are happy to do the work, and the society can enjoy the result of the work.
Yeah, of course. In one of your extremely influential recent articles and book about Alibaba, you say that in this digital age, the technology-driven platform can boost small businesses to thrive. I will give you an example of Brazil. In Brazil, we have very expensive internet, irregular, and in some regions, almost non-existent. How can a country use the advantages of the digital age without good internet access? And what China did to create this condition, this background for small business thriving through the technology?
I think that is a very, very important thing. Just a little while ago, I gave a talk. The profound things a government can help for economic development is the cyberspace inclusion. So in other words, in this age, we call it internet age or big data age, information age, if you don't have this hardware to link everybody, and you cannot do anything. You cannot achieve anything. So I think that should be government first priority, and to put this wires everywhere and let everybody to have access to the cyberspace.
Yeah, and when we talk about everywhere, it's not just every piece of land in the urban centers. You mean the
I mean, as long as you have people there, you have to you have to wire it up. It's just that is, I think that is a profound basic needs.
And China did it when?
Yes, I think China had been doing this for a while. It's not everywhere yet, but very close. And I went to a lot of rural area. And believe it or not, one place was in a mountain area. So I went there, and that is became a Taobao village. I don't know whether they heard about that. That means the whole village of people are doing business online. So, so that place, when I got there, and I opened up my phone, sure enough, I can connect to the world. So that is the I think it's really, really important to a nation like both China and Brazil.
What's the role of entrepreneurship in the reduction of poverty and inequality?
I think it is extremely important. And nowadays, when I just came back from this poverty reduction conference, and there's a lot of international organizations such as the United Nations, World Bank, they also went to this conference. And then people ask how you can establish a Taobao village so that poor people can do business online, and so that they can change their lives. So from my research, I have learned that they have to have 3 preconditions. One, the first one is entrepreneur. As a leader in the village, without this person, it is extremely hard to do. This is the first condition. The second condition is you have to find the right product or service you're going to sell online. Yes. Second one. The third one is the local government had to help. For instance, build up road for transportation, and to link to the world, And so those kind of things have to be done by government, and no individual can accomplish those kind of work. In other words, the government have to put infrastructure over there, and so that you can help the people and to start. But once again, the role model from the local, very, very local place, those kind of entrepreneurs is a very important role to lead everybody to do that.
Ms. Lowrey, in this globalization days, the big businesses around the world, they can move around almost freely. Most of the time searching for lower costs, cheaper labor costs. And this leaves that place without the jobs that they had before. And this context, how important are startups and entrepreneurship for job creation?
It is, once if you have an entrepreneur there, and job will be there. Because those kind of startups, they start off a business, they're not start up anything else. So once you have a business, not only the particular product you're going to sell, but a lot of service. For instance, they have a good example in China. It is called the Shaji. Right now, they established a cluster to produce furniture. They call that as like more or less like China's IKEA. So one, those entrepreneurs, they really want to find something to do, and then he walked in Shanghai, and he walked into IKEA, and then he just find out, this is what my father and my uncle can do. So quickly he grasped this idea, came home, designed furniture, and then father, uncle start to make, and all of a sudden, the whole furniture just started to produce. And quickly they find out, we make this, we're going to move out of the furniture. So you have to find people to do this logistics and transportations and shipping and handling, all of those things. And then after that, the people find out, how can I sell my product? I design it beautifully. So now you need advertisement. So after advertisement, and you need some models and to sit on some place. And then you have a whole bunch of service established. Tell you a very, very good story about this place. Originally, this is a very, very poor village. There's no jobs and even no land. It's very, very poor. They only can collect all of the garbage, especially those plastic bags, plastic bottles, and to recycle that. And then make the local areas a terrible place. But once they have done this, e-commerce, not only they fully employ the whole village people, and it turned out there's not enough labor, so they have to hire people around. Not only that, but also university students come to here. This is just a village, it's just a little township. They came here. So therefore, this place, with the development, with the growth, right now this place became a small town and a small city already. This is called urbanization. Yes. And with a very, very beautiful locality, and the local cultural and the local accent, and then they have this kind of township over there already. It's a beautiful story. It's amazing. It's an amazing story.
Ms. Lowrey, what's the relation between a culture of entrepreneurship in a country or in cities or in small towns and the economic well-being of its citizens? You just gave us a great example, but there is a clear relation between this spirit of entrepreneurship and the well-being, economic well-being, at least.
I think let's say if you want to build up this kind of entrepreneurial society, you really need to have people work together. That is what I mentioned about in China, and in the past they have to start up and the business and then try to do something, and to make the first stage income. And after that, and there's a lot of people from business schools and told them you have to do big, you have to do stronger, and promote a small group of people. And those people made money, they can leave the town, leave the village, and go to big cities. That's not what you want to do. What you need to do is, with the government's intervention or government's role, and to just like divide up this kind of the pie and more equally. In other words, immediately once you start to take off, and government should think about education, local education, not only educate small kids, but also people need to learn how to improve their ability to catch up the new age, right? And also immediately should have good health in that region. And more importantly, you have to improve people's lives by changing the environment and make that more green, and make that more livable, and make that more beautiful. So this is what China is doing now. And while you have this e-commerce development, also combined with beautifying those villages. So it's come out beautiful. You have to combine all of those things. So as long as you think about improving people's economic well-being, and then people feel happy, and people will stay. So this is why in many, many places now, the immigrant workers came back.
It's happening now.
It's happening right now, yes, exactly. And the college students originally they went out of the village because they want to change their lives. Now they came back because they really love the hometown, and they really believe they can make a difference to make this hometown more beautiful, and people are happier.
And Professor, both in developed or in developing countries, the youth are having a hard time finding jobs nowadays. Is entrepreneurship the solution for these young kids?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially in this, we do not have time for lecture. Otherwise, in this new age, and talk about the internet and the big data, and there is a very important phenomenon that's called the long tail. In other words, you do have big companies produce, for instance, clothes, right? You can create, very, very high efficient place, and they can produce very fast and very cheaply. But also nowadays, with the improvement of people's lives, they want to have special clothes. I want to have my clothes different with some space. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to make that special design and to satisfy small groups of people's needs. So this is, we can see now in China, almost everywhere. And especially well-educated college graduates, they came to fill this long tail. So in other words, once they have one idea, catch up on one idea, and find the special niche market, and then when they have their own job, they can provide a job for somebody else.
Professor, your now world-known research regarding the Alibaba model, what this model can teach us about entrepreneurship?
I think it can, I think that at least we should learn there's a new model, and the model is called growing by unleashing grassroots entrepreneurship. And that's what happened is you could have a big giant internet companies and or platform companies. They provide service for millions of people to do business on the platform. But in the same time, there's a lot of small business will rely upon this platform. So it's formed up a new ecosystem. And I call that as David and Goliath, cooperation. And they can work together, and then they can create more innovative product, and also they can improve the technology as well. Be careful here, though. Goliath is so big, but David could kill him up.
Yeah.
Because if this Goliath not work hard, not provide the best technology and the best service, this will be out. So that is the profound situation in China. And then another thing in my book, I highly recommend that you need to satisfy individuals. I call that as Maslow hierarchy of needs. And you need to make people feel they are growing and with doing this kind of business. And final thing is try to avoid a societal falling down into the middle income trap. Because once you start to do business and maybe a few people can do much better than others, and the old model would really support these winners. But that's the good old way. And the new way is you have to make a community grow together, and so that you can avoid that kind of middle income trap.
Ms. Lowrey, thank you very much for your time with us. It was an amazing interview.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome. Very enjoyable. Thanks.